Hello, welcome back to The Metal Hunter. My name is Luke, and this is another episode of Entry Level. Now this time I am going to be doing black metal. Now this episode's going to be a little bit different to the last couple of episodes of Entry Level. In the last couple of episodes I've done debut albums by bands in different genres, including deathcore, new metal, death metal and thrash metal. This time I'm not going to be doing debut albums, mainly because I actually am a bit of a noob when it comes to this genre. This is a genre that I only know basic bands in, and you'll understand as I go through the list what I'm talking about. Before we do get into the video, as always, I've got a bit of housekeeping. Make sure that you subscribe. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers as quickly as possible, if not before the lockdown comes, by the end of the year at least. Also, if you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at The Metal Hunter. We've also in the background got Dark Funeral playing. This album is called Diabolus Interium, maybe? Something like that. It came out on No Fashion Records in 2004, and it is a part of the red version of Dark Funeral. Obviously they've got the red and the blue, which is, I don't know if there's like a story behind that or whatever, but it is what it is. Now, I have been reluctant to do a black metal episode for many reasons. One is that I feel like the gatekeepers in the black metal community are much more visceral and violent than any other genre. I think that there are a lot of black metal nerds that take themselves too seriously. Don't get me wrong, I love the genre, I love the music, but I think that a lot of the fans get up their own ass a little bit too much. The second part is that I'm not going to really talk about Burzum because I don't like him, I don't like his music, and yeah, I mean, I might lose some subscribers from that, but it is what it is. I will make a video about that kind of stuff probably later, about like why I don't like certain bands and certain individuals in the metal community, but we'll move on to what I'm really going to be talking about. The last thing that I was reluctant about is the depth and the expansiveness of the black metal genre and how many bands and how many sub black metal genres there are out there. I really only have a basic understanding, so this is more of me telling you how much of a noob I am, and hopefully you guys helping me out with some new music that I maybe have missed. Okay, so as always, I've jumped on Wikipedia, the most cult of all websites, and got a little description of what the genre is. So black metal is an extreme subgenre of heavy metal music. Common traits include fast tempos, a shrieking vocal style, heavily distorted guitars played with a tremolo picking, raw or lo-fi recording, unconventional song structures, and an emphasis on atmosphere. Artists often appear in corpse paint and adopt pseudonyms. There's also lyrical contents around Lord of the Rings, nature, Satanism, anti-cosmic Satanism, witchcraft, all kinds of dark, evil kinds of things. Now, the atmosphere, it does come up quite a bit, and I think that when it comes to the genre of metal, black metal definitely leans on atmospheric soundscapes a lot more than any other genre, and that's the part that I really enjoy about it. I will also preface that in this list, I won't be talking about any proto or first wave bands. This is all going to be second wave or later, so I won't be talking about Venom, Hellhammer, Celtic Frost, Merciful Fate, Bathory, Tormentor, Sarcophago, or Von. But I'm going to talk about a lot of great bands, and I actually think that the second wave and beyond is the true... When I think of black metal, that's what I think of. I don't think of first wave bands. When I think of first wave bands, I just think of them as metal bands, really. I might be wrong, but there's too many labels and shit like that anyway. Alright, so starting off nice and easy, one of the first black metal songs I ever heard was by this band, and it was off this album, and it is Satyricon Nemesis Divina. Came out in 1996 on Moonfog Records. The track that I'm going to recommend for you is Mother North. I think that it's one of the most perfect black metal songs ever written. Absolutely fucking ferocious and flawless, and that video is monumental. I think that it represents everything that black metal is, or at least the second wave of black metal. A fun fact about this album, Ted from Darkthrone played guitar on the album. All music and lyrics were written by Satyr between autumn of 1993 and winter of 1995, except for the lyrics to Do Some Harter Good, which were written in June 1994 by Her Nagel, otherwise known as Fenris, in honor of Satyricon. So he was that much of a fan of Satyricon that he decided to write a song and some lyrics about Satyricon. Man, this is like... This copy has been beat to all fuckery. I love this album so much. This is a Modern Invasion press. It was originally, as I said, done on Moonfog, but yeah, too much glare there to see that anyway. Next up, the Australian music scene actually has an incredible black metal scene, and they've been doing black metal since the early 90s. There's lots and lots of bands that I could list here. I will be doing an Australian special series very shortly, probably in the next month or so, so keep an eye out for that. But this is one of the first black metal albums I ever owned, and it is Vengeance War Till Death by Bestial, Warlust. This one was through Modern Invasion in 1994. I've still got the Modern Invasion sticker on the back. It's a bit busted up and beaten up. The track that I would recommend from this is the opening track, and it's called Bestial Warlust. Just the way that he screams Bestial Warlust into the fucking drums, absolutely amazing. And it says Satanic War Metal, so they're more of a war metal band, but I think that war metal still sits under that black metal genre. Look at that fucking album cover. How metal is that? That's so metal. I actually bought that as a blind buy. I saw it, saw the label, saw the logo on the cover, and I was like, I have to fucking buy that. And I chucked it on, and I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? It's like a bastardization of black and death metal, but so lo-fi you can barely hear anything, and everything's just like a fucking freight train. Amazing shit. Next up, we've got this is a newer, well, relatively newer band. I guess it's in the third wave, and it is Watain. Lawless Darkness. Watain were responsible of me coming back to black metal. I actually fell out of love with black metal in like maybe 2007, 2008. I felt like there was just too much to go through, and I was starting to get really over like all the wankery of all the fans and shit like that. And then I heard Watain, and I was like, oh my fucking god. I got this album basically as soon as it came out, and I don't think that they've got a bad record. I think that they're absolutely have a flawless back catalogue. And the track that I would recommend off this one is called Malfata. I don't know. I'll link them all down below. I know the song, but it's always hard to fucking pronounce things that aren't in English because I'm a stupid Western fuckwit. Next up, this one is another one of those ones where I heard the track. It was one of the first black metal tracks I ever heard. I've got two copies of this one. I've got the original Osmose Productions. No, it's not an original. It's 1997 version. This originally came out in 1995, and it is Immortal, Battles in the North. So I've got this version. Just got all that kind of shit on it. It is beat to shit. I've had this. This is one of the first albums I have actually owned. And I also have this repress from 2010. And this is on a beautiful, beautiful white vinyl. Get this shit out. Actually, don't have a great deal of black metal vinyl, but the ones that I do have, I love. So yeah, Immortal. I mean, very, very vicious black metal band when it comes to their style and the way that they attack their guitars. And obviously, you know, Abath is now off doing solo things. Always loved the back of this. The Immortal single stands forever as a mark against those who so pathetically tried to follow us lyrically and musically. You are truly beneath us. Fuck yeah. So metal. Anyone who takes that too seriously is probably a wanker. Okay, so next up, oh man, I actually don't have my copy of this here, but anyway, next up is Emperor in the Nightside Eclipse, which came out in 1994 on Candlelight Records. The track that I would recommend is I Am the Black Wizards. Now, I got to see Emperor last year or the year before. They came over and did anthems in full, and while they were playing that, or after they played that, they played a couple of classic tracks, and I Am the Black Wizards is one of those tracks that they played. Emperor are obviously one of the first symphonic black metal bands, and they're a band that I think that didn't really do any wrong. It was just a level of how good they could possibly be. They're all up in those really, really top high tangents of black metal, and the intensity and the complexity of their music is absolutely insane. Next up, now these guys I've spoken about at length. They're one of my favorite bands of all time, and definitely my favorite black metal band, I think. Maybe, well, probably my favorite straightforward black metal band, and it is Darkthrone. The album that I am recommending is Sardonic Wrath. Well, at least this is the album that I first got into. This one came out in 2004 through Moonfog. and I actually had a T-shirt of this, and I've still got it. It's a large, so I'm like a 2XL now, and I'd never have a chance to wear it. The track that I would recommend is Sacrificing to the God of Doubt. This is around the time when they started diverting to more of a straightforward heavy metal, hard rock kind of sound. Hard rock's probably not the right term, but it definitely like a more heavy metal sound, and starting to lean away from the black metal sound. But Sacrificing to the God of Doubt is a straight up fucking black metal track. Absolutely love it. Okay, next up, another one of those early albums / bands / songs that I've heard. A band that I'm playing right now, which is Dark Funeral, and the album is The Secrets of the Black Arts. Came out in 1996 on No Fashion Records. This is a repress, I'm certain, because I'm like 99% sure that the originals go for quite a bit. Now, this the track that I'm going to recommend is once again one of the first tracks that I'd ever heard from black metal, which is The Secret of the Black Arts. I love the ferocity of this band. I got to see them with Immolation last year, and they did not disappoint. They're another one of those bands that I think a lot of people look at as, because they've become bigger and bigger and they're a little bit more of a household name within the metal community, they're more of a target, which I find really interesting, because I think that they have never really put out a bad album. They seem to put out consistently vicious albums all the time. So really, really good band. Next up, probably one of the biggest black metal bands on the planet. This isn't my favorite album by them, but this is the album that got me into them, and I think that this is the one that really started tipping them towards the more epic, symphonic kind of stuff that they ended up releasing. And it is Dimmu Borgir, Enthrone, Darkness, Triumphant. Man, that is so glary. Let me just get the booklet out. The booklet is so beat to shit. I bought it secondhand many moons ago, and it was beat to shit back then. That's that one. It came out in 1997 on Nuclear Blast Records. It's got the track Morning Palace on it, and that was the track that I would recommend. It's one of the first tracks that I ever heard. I think it was around 1999 I would have heard that. It would have had to have been 1999, because I was in year 7 at the time. So yeah, I heard that, the opening I was like, man, this is so fucking evil. It sounds like a horror movie. And then when it fucking crashes in with that guitar riff, I was sold. Okay, here we go. These guys are basically the main responsibility for me liking any black metal at all. They are the biggest black metal band in the world, I think. I don't know, you'd have to check numbers and shit like that. Maybe ask that Trapped dude. I'm sure that he's got the Pandora streaming numbers, but it is Cradle of Filth, and the album is Midian. I've got 2 copies of this because I fucking love it. This is the 2001 Australian Tour edition, and then this is just the standard 2000 edition. This came out on Music for Nations and / Shock Records in Australia. Now, I've already spoken about this album quite a bit, especially in my earlier videos where I was talking about like albums that really got me into certain styles of music. The track that I'm going to recommend off this is Her Ghost in the Fog. I know it's a noob black metal song, but the drama and the operatics and the fucking structure of that song is so enchanting and so enticing that I absolutely love it. It's a track also that you can kind of get away with playing to people who listen to less extreme metal, and maybe it might get them into more extreme metal. I think that it's definitely a gateway album, and the Lovecraftian effect on Cradle of Filth I absolutely love. Danny Filth he's who he is. I actually really appreciate that he's just straight down the line. He doesn't really fucking act like he needs to be anyone else other than himself, which I really like. And he's still kicking ass after all these years. I got to see them a couple of years ago for the first time, and the only time that I've seen them, and they were fucking amazing. My 14-year-old self with eyeliner and fucking long dyed black hair was just freaking out. Next up, we've got Mayhem. Now, this is a live album. It's the only live album that I'm going to include on here, and it is live in Leipzig, 1993, on Obscure Plasma. This is a 1997 repress on Century Media Records, so it's got the different cover. It doesn't have the purple version with Dead on the front. Now, the reason that I've included this is because I bought this not knowing who they were. I saw the cover and I was like, that has to be evil. And yeah, just started getting into it, and the rawness and the filth of this release is absolutely monumental. I prefer Dead as a vocalist over basically anyone who's ever sang for Mayhem, and I really enjoy Mayhem, by the way. All of their releases have been incredible, but this is a pinnacle for me. All right, next up, another band that I only just got to see recently, probably about 3-4 years ago, maybe. Looking back, I think Australia has been very fortunate in the last 10 years for getting so many extreme metal bands out here, and there are some great touring companies that are bringing some bands that we wouldn't necessarily have seen, because it is very, very expensive to get over here. And with this lockdown happening, I don't know what's going to happen after the borders open up, whether we're going to see a lot of extreme music over here, mainly because of the costs of touring. So I'm hoping that, with a lot of patience, we're going to see some amazing tours again. Next one is Marduk. This album is called Plague Angel. This one came out in 2004, released on Blood Dawn Productions. The track that I would recommend is 7 Angels, 7 Trumpets. This is another one of those albums that I picked up. I think I picked it up cheap, not knowing who they were or what their style was, and chucked it on and was fucking blown away. You'll find that a lot of the albums that I've listed here is from 2004. I think that's really around the time that black metal was making sense to me. And then, for a couple of years I really got into it, and then I fell out again, and I'm back again. I don't know, I've got a love-hate relationship with it. I love the lyrical content of a lot of the stuff that people are talking about. When it comes to, white supremacy and racism and shit like that, that's not for me. Any bands that are singing about that, and, I bring it up when I'm talking about Marduk for a reason. So when I went to the Marduk show, I was really enjoying myself. I was watching the bands. I was like, man, this is fucking awesome. I can't remember who they played with. Maybe Gorguts? It was the whole lineup was definitely stacked. It was through direct touring, so it had to be stacked. But Marduk set, they were headlining. I was standing at the back. I think I was drinking just like a Coke before I was about to get on the road to go home. And I saw these two dudes walk in. Or I don't know if they walked in, but they walked from the side of where the crowd was, and I was like standing watching the band, and they kind of started doing Zig Heils, and I was like, the fuck, what are you doing? So and then there was like 3 or 4 people around them that started arguing with them, and I was just like, I'm out, and I just fucking walked out. And yeah, it's just, I suppose a lot of their shit has like war stuff, I don't know. God, I hope they're not a Nazi band. Are they a Nazi band? Let me know down below. Anyway, let's move on from that. So this is why I don't talk about this shit, because I just end up mumbling. Next up, we've got a band that could be considered not a black metal band. Actually, the next two are pretty much going to raise some eyebrows. These guys are more on the more extreme grind level of black metal, but I can't not have them on here because they're definitely a band that really inspired me to check out more extreme black metal, and it is Anaal Nathrakh. This album is called Domine Non Es Dignus. It's that one there. Came out in 2004 on Season of Mist. Now, I got to see Anaal Nathrakh in London in 2010 opening for Testament. What the fuck? Opening for Testament. And the band that played before that was Warbringer. So it was basically a thrash lineup, and Anaal Nathrakh was just chucked straight in the middle of it. Now, Dave Hunt, the vocalist for Anaal Nathrakh, has also sang for Benediction, and he has one of the most vicious vocal styles ever. The extremity of his scream is fucking filthy. So if you're into the more extreme stuff, Anaal Nathrakh is where you want to go for. Alright, so this is the last one on my list. I probably should have mentioned before, this is the top 13 for me, black metal albums that have gotten me into or helped me stay in love with black metal. The last one is going to raise a lot of eyebrows. Now, I've spoken about it on the channel before. I've spoken about this band. I've even said that I don't feel like they're straight up black metal, but they have so many flourishes of black metal, and so many people consider them as black metal that I had to include them, and it is Death Heaven. The album is called Ordinary Corrupt Human Love. I had to read that because I always get it wrong. I saw them on this tour. I also reacted to Black Brick. Now this one is on a nice, this is where I got this from the tour. This is on a nice piss yellow double gatefold 180 gram LP. I mean, they are a band who incorporate a lot of different styles. You know, people can call them hipsters, they can call them trendy and all that kind of shit. But the thing is, like, they do write great tunes. And if you're into more melodic, esoteric bands like Alcest, and even Opeth, and like real progressive bands, Deaf Heaven are definitely a great band to listen to, and maybe a gateway band for generations to come. Okay, so that was my top 13 of black metal albums that I've enjoyed or have got me into black metal. Here's another list of some black metal albums that I think you guys should check out. So we've got Enslaved, Isa, Gorgoroth, Ad Mogerum, Satanas Gloriam. And we've got Funeral Mist with Devilry, and then the aforementioned Alcest with Achilles Delune. And then we've also got Borknagar with Epic. I actually saw Borknagar in Germany. I can't remember, but they were fucking amazing. They were epic. We've got Dissection, Storm of the Light's Bane. Now I'm going to put a little asterisk next to this one. This is a band that I've only just started getting into in the last kind of 12 months. I did a reaction to a Dissection song, and I really fell in love with them, and I think that they're an incredible band. So they're one of those bands that I missed and I'm coming back to. Okay, next is Leviathan, the 10th Subcircle of Suicide. Fantastic American black metal. I think that there's some amazing black metal bands coming out of America, and we've got 1349 with Hellfire, some of the fastest black metal that you will hear. And then we've got another American black metal band called Wolves in the Throne Room with the album Black Cascade. Now, I got to see Wolves in the Throne Room last year. Once again, just absolutely fucking crushing black metal. They have probably one of the better atmospheric styles, especially with the new coming of black metal. Once again, this is all coming from a standpoint of a fairly noob kind of person when it comes to black metal. So if I'm getting any of this wrong, please forgive me. I'm still learning. And last, I'm going to mention Uada with Cult of a Dying Sun. You can also listen to a band like Mugwa. I hope that's how you pronounce it. It's like MG and then the L and then the A. I hope that I've pronounced that right. I probably haven't. Once again, I am a noob. All right, so that's another episode of Entry Level. This time it has been black metal. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. Did you love the albums that I've listed? Did you hate them? What's your top 10? What's something that I haven't listed that I should check out? I'd really, really love to hear from you. As I said before, I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, so make sure that you give me a bit of love and smash that sub button. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Metal Hunter. I'd love to talk to all of you guys about all this kind of shit. It's my favorite point of the day. Sorry I haven't put out videos over the last couple of days. I've been feeling a little bit unwell, and I didn't feel like I was up to giving you the content that you deserve. All right, I've babbled for long enough, and I guess there's nothing else to say, but I've been Luke, the Metal Hunter. Catch you later. Bye.